Welcome, family, to Community Cuts. We're here live in Brooklyn, New York, at Salon Leahing, between 732 Washington Avenue, between Prospect Place and Park Place. If you're in the Brooklyn area, for those of you, please, we have professional people here that does great work in this establishment. Salon Leahing. We have a young lady here that I'm going to talk with. She's going to be talking about Brooklyn and the migrant situation here in Brooklyn. She's a Democrat liaison for Brooklyn. Renee Collymore. Let's applaud you. Yes, Renee Collymore.
Thank you, Duke. Thank you for having me. Long time no see. You sit up there looking like new money.
I wish. Go ahead.
Well, I would like to thank the owners of the establishment. What a wonderful business. And thank you for sponsoring this tonight. And thank you, Duke, for doing such a magnificent job of staying by the neighborhood and being such an advocate and allowing us to have a platform so that we may discuss some of the issues that are taking place today during this time in our community. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Well, Renee, let's talk about this issue with the migrant issue in Clinton Hill.
Well. Ooh, we have such an issue, and it's a crisis. It is a crisis. We are undergoing a migrant crisis that has taken place in our neighborhood. We woke up one day, and then all of a sudden there was more than 4,000 migrants that had taken place in our neighborhood. They have taken up beds and cots and the real estate here at 47 Hall Street, and that is near the Brooklyn Navy, right near the BQE, near Park Avenue. And then there's another migrant shelter at 29 Ryerson Street, right behind 47 Hall Street. So that was a great influx. And what has happened is that for just about 1 year, the neighbors have been contacting our local council member to help them in regards to trying to probably downsize and to do something so that the neighbors would not be so overwhelmed. And 4,000 plus migrants is just not sustainable for the little neighborhood of Clinton Hill, in which I live as well. I've been in Clinton Hill all of my life. My family has been here since 1940.
Wow.
Yeah, so I am a definite baby of the neighborhood. And so I grew up right here. This is the only place I really know. And I love it. I love what it brings and what it represents, and that's community. That's neighborhoods, and that is something that a lot of places do not actually understand the importance of community and what a neighborhood really does for families. And so Clinton Hill is a place for families. We've always been more so a safe place. This has been a safe area. It's been gentrified, and which has pushed up the cost of the real estate. And this is the most desirable area now. But I remember when.
I also.
Yeah. And so the migrants, we have migrants from Africa. We have migrants who are from South America, Venezuela, Ecuador. We have Colombia. What was happening is that the neighbors began to complain because the migrants started to have like an open air market outside. They're cooking and they're eating on the streets. What's happening is that there's an excess of trash all over our communities. And every day they walk through to the G train station at Lafayette Avenue in Washington. And on their way there, they throw trash all over the streets. And so they go into the garbage cans and they lift up the top of the garbage can. They put their hand down because they are also collecting bottles so they can have more money. But when they do that, they leave the trash on the street, don't put it back into the garbage can. So the owner of the home as will come out and take up the plastic bag and put it back into the trash can. And so over time, neighbors are becoming increasingly frustrated. They're making noise every single night, and the quality of life has just honestly declined. And I go down to the shelter quite frequently. I walk down there, I drive around, just so I can keep an eye on things and see what's happening. And many of the neighbors begin installing security cameras so that we can see actually what's going on. And some of the things that have taken place because of the migrant shelter are this. The migrants have begun having sexual intercourse outside, underneath windows of people who live in Flint Hill. There has been stabbings. There has been a triple murder. There was an outbreak of the measles. There was an outbreak of tuberculosis. And so, and I can honestly say that this is because the shelters are overpopulated. When there are too many people living on top of each other in close proximity every day of the year, if one is sick, the next one is going to be sick. And then the diseases begin to spread. At some point, there's been fighting and violence because it's overpopulated. People are too close to each other on a daily basis. And at some point, people would normally say, you know what? Get off me. I need some peace. People want to unwind, just be at peace, have some quiet time. But in a shelter, that's not possible because it's too many. And there are no showers, right? And so we have a problem and an issue with, and there are no laundromats, there's no washer and dryers. So they've started going into local nearby buildings, apartment buildings, condos, going into their laundry rooms, utilizing the laundry room in a private place. And how they're getting in, they're sneaking into the buildings. They don't use laundry detergent. So when the measles outbreak took place, the tuberculosis took place, and they're washing their clothes in someone else's washing machine, this is how these things spread, and the problem gets worse.
Let me ask you something. I heard just recently that Mayor Adams is going to get rid of the shelters and put the migrants out. Is that correct?
Well, this is what's going on. As 4,000 migrants is just unsustainable in a neighborhood, we want him to downsize. So now our advocacy has turned into this downsizing. And so I've had a series of town hall meetings, I've had a series of press conferences, and that's our message of 400, not 4,000. Usually, most shelters would give you the maximum of 400 people in a shelter, not 4,000. So we needed him to downsize. And so at my last press conference, what happened is when I got home, there was a news article that just came out that said Mayor Adams is going to begin to open up and potentially open up smaller shelters because he has to right size this migrant shelter. He has to be right sized, right? And so he's looking to do that now. And I'm happy because I had a dinner in Clinton Hill at a neighbor's house. And I said, we fought, we yelled, we screamed, we had all types of things going on, banners and posters and things. We have to be a little more diplomatic now. And I'm going to invite him to a dinner so that we can break bread together. And sometimes you need to, you can negotiate there sometimes when the atmosphere is not challenging and when the atmosphere is not threatening and it's calm and we're getting to know each other. So that's what happened. He came to dinner and it was a private dinner. It wasn't advertised. And I said, listen, I want to organize a group of neighbors and we can do the researching for you about where we can find little smaller buildings that we can transfer the migrants at 47 Wall Street to somewhere smaller and appropriate. I will do this and we will hit the ground running so that we can make it happen. So we're happy that he took me up on my offer. And he said, okay. And I think that's a So it's something that the mayor, I must commend him for doing that, because he could have said no. He could have said, well, we already have our own research team at City Hall. He could have said, I got it, don't worry about it. We good, but he didn't. So this is a community effort.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Well, that's great to know. Yeah, I didn't know that. That's great to know. I know a lot of people in that area, they're telling me that they have some real, grave, real negative issues that's happening in that community. And that's what I asked you to come to a platform. Tell us about it. What?
Well, it has really been tough. I have to tell you, sometimes I come home and I've seen migrants, standing in front of my house, washing up with little bottles of Poland spring water.
Wow.
And so that goes to show you what we're going through.
Right.
And when they're in a building, it should be a building that has the appropriate amenities for them. Showers, beds, toilets, and things of this nature. The neighbors in Clinton Hill have told me over and over, Ms. Collymore, do something because the mice are urinating in the G train station where we are. And that's been going on for the longest. And so that was never addressed by any of our electeds and, the MTA, anyone besides what I'm saying, and the neighbors. And so at this point, I just told everybody, we have to be in charge. We have to take this message to the streets. It has to be all over this nation. And I'm glad that I was able to be on so many media outlets, News Nation, which goes all over the United States. And a crew from Singapore came to Brooklyn to interview me to talk about this. It just came out a few weeks, like 2 weeks ago, because they were interested in this fight that we're having in Clinton Hill with the overpopulated migrant shelter. And so that if we did not do this, if our advocacy would have stopped or never started, we'd still be in the same position where we were a year and a half ago.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in the next couple of years from now? You think this immigrant situation, migrant situation is going to be addressed, or is it still something we're going to have to deal with?
Well, right now, I'm glad to report that I've begun working on searching out better buildings for the migrants, right-sized buildings, smaller shelters. And guess what, Duke? Someone called me up, can you help me? We have a building. And I said, okay, and they said that they wanted to be one of the small shelters. And so we got on a call and met all of the ones involved, and you have the brokers, the owners, and all this, like a big team of people. And I called up, the city, and I said, hey, I have an address. And they said, what is it? I gave it to them, and I said, when are we going to do a walkthrough? Let's do a walkthrough, because we have to start this. And sometimes, and no offense to the city of New York, but we all know sometimes when you deal with the city, everything is so slow. Mm-hmm. And so I said immediately, okay, this is the introduction. We know what we're dealing with, and they know what is needed and the requirements are. And so I said, when can we go? When can we go? And they said, okay, Renee, we can go either this week or set up a date for next week. And guess what? We had it a few days ago. A humongous building, lots of space, and I was impressed by this building. So I just want to say that you just can't wait for government to do something. Clinton Hill, we put our feet to the fire and we should start working. If you wait for others, it will never get done. Even though you may not know how to get it done, you gotta start making noise. Your voice has to be heard. Because if it's not, people will think that we think it's okay to do this, and we don't think it's okay to do this. This is why we started this, because we said it's not okay. So across the boroughs, across different places, I would encourage those to do as we've done. You have to speak out. You have to fight. You have to put pressure on your elected officials. You have to make them work. Because what I'm seeing today is some of the elected officials they don't feel that on the ground work is what they should be doing, like in the communities, you know. They feel like they should go into the chambers and pass legislation and that's it, but that's not it. You have to be in the trenches, in the community, knocking on doors, going into the business, see what's going on in the neighborhood. And then you have to begin working inside these streets, right? But many of them are not doing that now. This is a whole new city council that are not really on the people like that.
So what would you tell city council? I mean, give us a word that you just.
Do your job. Do your job. Get into the neighborhood. Find out who's who and don't try to ignore what's already established. There are people that have been here working. Work along with those people. Invite them to work together with you. Today, what I'm seeing is our way or the highway. The community really has no voice today. They have no voice. And the electeds that we have, you know, it's not like the electeds of old. Well, when I was growing up, I had Mary Pinkett. She was my childhood council member. You know, we had Letitia James, James Davis. You had, may he rest in peace, but you had people like that was in the field. I mean, it was not one
She's dying.
community. There was not one issue in this neighborhood that I did not see my elected officials back then. I don't care if it was 300 or if it was 3 people. Letitia James, what was there? James Davis, the same. James Davis was always somewhere. You look today, where these people? These people. They don't even know the names of the, you know, the movers and the shakers in the field here.
I remember James Davis. He used to run the guns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great activist, great advocacy, former police officer. He loved the force. He was a teacher in the academy. You know, so, yeah.
Yeah, you know, with our community here in Brooklyn, we're going through some real uncharted waters now. And let me ask you, Renee, you saw the debate on the presidential debate?
Yes, I did.
We're not picking sides or choosing, you know, who won or what have you. What did you think?
Listen, all I'm gonna say is vote with conscience, vote on issues, not based on personality. That was one of the issues that I always had in races, even here with me in our neighborhood. Oh, we don't like her. You better be voting on the work I'm doing. You know, you don't have to like me, but vote for people because they're doing the work. Because if they're doing the work before they get in, you know what they're going to do if they get a better platform. They're going to do bigger and better and beyond. So we want to just stay prayerful and make sure that you are well informed. Be a well informed voter. I mean, this is a very, very difficult time for this presidential election, during this election that we're having. And it's just a lot going on right now. And I'm just begging everyone to please be informed. Be completely informed.
That's true, and I'm also asking, you know, my people from our communities just to, you know, actually to pray and to, this is my feelings, my due diligence is to pray, you know, and if you have to fast, you gotta fast, because we're not talking about just, you know, one person, we're talking about our community. And we have to choose the right leader, the right politician to come in and do work.
Yeah.
We've been around enough politicians that, you know, they just get their seat and that's it. And right now, that's not the way to go. Right now, the way to go is to do work and find the one that will work with our community.
Yes, yes, yes. And I want to make sure that everyone understands that all politics is local. Don't just get involved in a presidential election, but know who your elected officials are on the local level. You have a council member, you have an assembly member, you have a senator or congress member, you have district leaders, and now my new role, my appointed role is a Democratic liaison, is just similar, equal to the role of the district leader, which I held as well as an elected role. And so I've been in this for quite a long ways, and but I came up watching and learning, and out there campaigning, making mistakes, and all of those things, but learning along the way, but learning so much more that the community needs the most. And this is why you're doing this. Because I'm gonna tell you, like Christian Gillibrand said, if we're not helping people, the United States Senator Christian Gillibrand, if you're not helping people, then what the F are you doing? Right?
That's true.
And so
That's true.
that's what this is all about. Both for people who you don't have to help you and help the neighborhood and where you live.
That's true. And we have we have a right to do this because we have children, we have grandchildren, and we have to look out for our community because they're the next energies that's coming to fruition, and we have to set the groundwork for them to be able to to act right, to do right, and to be right as well in our community.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree. Just as I sat and watched and learned from others how to maneuver in the community and in our district, I have to make sure that I do the right thing as well because there are younger people underneath me that are watching me and seeing what I'm doing and making sure that, like, would she be someone that we could admire? Is she someone that we could, be inspired from? And so it's very important to me that I do the right thing. But again, I'm from a family that made sure that I did the right thing from when I was growing up. There were circumstances and repercussions if I didn't. So I grew up in that era. So I was so afraid to, just go buck wild and just do whatever I want to do and say what I want to say. But as your elected official and representatives and things of this nature, you have to have people who are not pushovers, people who are not afraid to say what they want to say based on the rightness that is needed for your community. We have a lot of elected officials in office. There are people in office who will not honestly stand up for you because they have to go along and get along. We have a whole lot of those folks. It's a whole lot.
Go along and get along.
Go along and get along. And when you have those in office, it doesn't help you. It doesn't help the businesses. Look what's going on Vanderbilt Avenue. There's a small business, Mitchell Soul Food. She's about to close down because there's an issue on the streets where they're closing off the streets on the weekend, something called open streets. I'm not a proponent of just closing down streets just because, but I understand compromise.
It should be compromised.
It should be some compromise. You just don't come and say you do this and that's it. And no, because before you got here, there was other people here. This woman has been here for decades. I've known that business since I was a little girl. And so she's a Black-owned business. And we know it's hard enough for our businesses to get traction and a constant flow of clients and customers and things like that. So we have to fight harder to keep our doors open. And so we have to help to compromise in the middle. I'm hearing that they want to do a redesign of Vanderbilt Avenue.
And they did it on Underhill as well.
Yes, they did it on Underhill. I go past there. Listen, when I see something that looks right and I think it's working or looks like it's working, I may not like the concept, but if I see, this is nice, I see a lot of people out, I'm going to say that. I'm going to be like, no, I don't want to. No, it's about what's actually happening. When I go to Underhill, listen, about 2 people sitting out there. You close up a whole street just for one person.
And they never went to the community to talk about the redesign of the neighborhood.
That should not be.
That should not be.
That should not be.
And the political establishment should have stopped it. They should. We've got to talk to the community.
Listen, When the shelter opened up, guess what? We didn't know. How you gonna bring 4,000 people here who don't speak English and you don't say anything to the community?
Yeah.
There were no signs, there was no postings, there was no alert. The community board didn't let anybody know. And then when I had my town hall, the council member said, oh, I didn't know until 3 days before it opened. Wait a minute. What, those people that own 47 Hall Street, RXR Realty, they received $45 million. So you're gonna tell me a $45 million deal is going on in your district and you don't know?
That sounds crazy.
Well, I'm gonna let you have that.
That sounds crazy. And so, we can't have this blindfolded community and not letting us know what's happening, and you gotta inform us. And if you're on that level as a politician or a whatever, you got to inform the community. You got to bring the community in so they can have some kind of understanding about what's happening. They have kids, they have family, they have schools, they have, everything that's happening in their community. That's their community. You've got to inform their community. And so, yeah, I do agree with what you're saying. And it is important and imperative to let the community know what's happening.
And you know why? Because we're paying for it. Our taxes, we're paying for that. That's why they're supposed to let us know. Our taxes in Clinton Hill, the property taxes are astronomical. They're through the roof.
Yeah.
So if you're using my money for a migrant shelter, don't you think you should say something to the people first?
I agree. Totally agree.
So I'm just looking forward to helping to right-size the shelters, and we're going to be looking for smaller locations all over. Clinton Hill has gone through enough. But you have a mixture of emotions. You have a lot of people who are like, Renee, why are you doing this? We need that shelter on Wall Street. Not overpopulated, you're hurting people. You're hurting the community.
It's true.
And you're hurting the migrants because they told me it's everything is bad here. We're miserable.
That is true.
Yeah, you have to listen to what people are saying. So it's not about me trying to just, strong on. It's about me understanding that this is not how you're supposed to live life. And you bring these people here, you let them in, and then you have them getting tuberculosis because when they got here, nobody vetted them for any diseases.
And that's why we have to talk to the representatives to let them know what we feel, what's happening in our life, what's happening in our communities, and let them know. Because, like you said earlier, local politics is very important.
Yeah, so I hope that everyone gets involved. Just get involved. Know what's going on. And go to your community board so you just know what's coming down the pipeline. So if you hear something, you may need to start getting your posters ready and start getting your tambourines and beating drums because you may have to fight against it. You never know.
Yeah, that's important. And for me, on the other side of it, I love prayer. And a family, Brooklynites, if you have to fast. If you have to pray, you gotta pray. The Most High God is within you, and everything is spiritual. Everything. We can't get past that. Can't get past politics. Politics is also money involved. Everything is politics, but beyond that, everything is spiritual. So we have to go to the Most High and make our, let the Most High God know what our community is going through, and not to be, do not have any trepidation. That God didn't build us for trepidation. So continue to fight this fight. Continue to pray for those. Continue to pray for the mayor. Continue to pray for the elected officials, but also, go to them as well. Let them know, your thoughts and feelings. You can't bottle it up and keep it within yourself. You gotta let it go because it can't stay within you. In terms of you can't bottle it up. Anyway, I want to say thank you, Community Cuts family. Also want to say thank you to SALON LEAHING for hosting us as well, and to our lovely Renee Collymore. She's a fighter for this Brooklyn. She's a fighter throughout time. She's been fighting. Not me, because she has a voice, and a voice that must be heard. She will not stop until she finds her win. She finds the place where her voice will land, and that's the righteousness of her voice. So I want to thank you, Mrs. Collymore, Renee Collymore, the Democrat liaison in Brooklyn, New York. And I just want to say thank you for coming on to Community Cuts. Our family is gracious and happy that you came here and be a part of this voice that we're putting out for our Brooklyn neighborhoods.
Thank you for having me. One last word, faith without works is dead. All right, so we're gonna pray, we're gonna fast, and we're gonna get to work.
Thank you. Thank you.